There's something truly special about the bond between a horse and their human companion. As I spend time with my own horse, I am constantly reminded of the sheer magnificence of the thoroughbred. What I find fascinating is the journeys that these horses go through throughout their lives. From foals to the sale ring to training, all the way until they transition into their new lives after their racing career. It really is fascinating. So today I embark on a journey visiting a brand new trainer and his horses in Upper Lambourn, also known as the Valley of the Racehorse. I get to see a glimpse into the beginning of this very exciting adventure. Let me introduce you to a brand new trainer based in Upper Lambourn, which is where we are now. To my left, I am joined with Ed Smyth-Osbourne and a lovely horse here, but we'll get on to our lovely fella here. Ed, great to have you on. Tell me a little bit about how you got into racing. Obviously now, brand new trainer, super exciting. Tell us about yourself.
Yeah, very exciting. Thank you for coming. Welcome to Frenchman's house. How did I get into training? Good question, long story. I suppose I've always done horses my entire life. Family are big on hunting. My uncle trained in the late 90s in Northamptonshire, sort of I suppose where it all began. I've ridden ponies, did pony club all the way through, actually played polo for quite a long time, and then did a little bit of point-to-pointing. And I think one day I was at university struggling through an essay, Spanish literature of some description, and thought actually this is not really what I want to be doing. And yeah, I think training horses was that sort of where it all began in this sense. At the time I was riding up Paul Webber, and that's where I got my point-to-pointer from. And yeah, I suppose that's where love of training started. How are we doing, buddy? You all right? Yeah, I left university, went straight to Newmarket and worked for Johnny McKeever, bloodstock agent. Did a sales season with him before I went off to the National Stud Course in Newmarket, which was brilliant. And from there I got a job out in Australia working for Gay Waterhouse. Did 6 months with her and then 6 months with Chris Waller, which, absolutely fantastic working with such amazing trainers. So I did a year out in Australia, came home and started assistant for Michael Bell. Where I did a stint for him, went up to Yorkshire, worked for Mark Johnston. Again, fascinating place to work, learned a hell of a lot. And then came down and was assistant to Henry Candy. And from there actually I had a little sabbatical out of racing, tried to do something else, went and did asset finance for a little while, which probably firmly cemented the idea or the realisation that actually racing is what I want to be doing. Also COVID hit, so that all ground to a halt. And then 2 years ago I started as assistant to William Muir and Chris Grassick, until last summer when I thought it's time to, as I say, stop telling everyone else how they should be doing it and do it myself.
Well, on that note, I think it's time to see what Ed has produced so far. We're going to be following this Twighlight Son Colt up to the gallops in Lambourn. Isn't that right, Ed?
Yeah, we'll take him out and he's going to go and do, steady up, boy. We're going to go up the short, which is a 5 furlong gallop, just sort of a bit of a steady warm up. And then we're going to go on the long and he's going to go and do what we call a baby breeze. So canter over 4 furlongs. First 2 will just be steady and then we'll get into the rails. You'll see the long, it's all open to start with, and then the rails start, and once he's through the scary bit, which is the beginning, they'll then lengthen and just within themselves, it's just sort of a bit of bone training, start the education, see how we go. Come on.
So after the horses had done a few laps of the stable yard as a small warm-up, I hopped in the car with Ed and we followed the horses up to the gallops. This is a lovely walk because this is a good warm-up for them.
Yeah, it's a nice walk. Gives them a bit of a wander. I mean, trotting is not very good for them really.
Yeah.
Not great for knees and stuff, so.
Wasn't it quite an old school way where racehorses were trained on the tarmac, up hills and stuff?
Well, it's, yeah, the old-fashioned, like road work is supposed to be hardening up tendons, and that's the sort of old-fashioned thing. I mean, nowadays, very few people really trot horses very much.
On the roads?
Certainly on the roads. Oh, don't kick the car. Certainly on the roads, but also, yeah, I mean, some trainers will just go straight from walking to cantering them.
Really?
When they even get in the fit. I mean, everyone has their preference. But trotting is not a particularly natural gait for them. I don't think in the wild you won't see them trot around too much.
Interesting.
Tricky. Everyone happy? All right? Yeah, kick on.
How many gallops are there in Lambourn?
Quite a lot. I did see the stats the other day. They put it up. Oh, we're in the thing, but I can't remember what it was. So obviously this is the long. So this is a mile and a bit.
Is this what they're going to do now?
They're going to come up. They're not coming the whole way. They're just coming up the last 4 furlongs.
So when she said another 4, she was talking about 4 furlongs?
Yeah. I was just coming from before. Then, so that's the short they've just come up, which is 5 furlongs.
Yeah.
Then you've got 2 sort of hill gallops here. So this is Fisher's Hill, and that's Charlie Mann's, they call it. Used to be owned by him. Then over the hill, back of my yard, is Kingsdown. So that's another all-weather. And then if you go up there, on one up, there's the back of the hill. So mainly jumpers use that. When I first started, we just went back up Kingsdown. Okay. Because there's a trotting ring at the bottom of that.
And so that's how you start them?
You get around the trotting ring, and then they count up Kingsdown for a bit, and then we brought them over, used the short, and now it's just whatever suits which horse, really.
So how can you tell what would suit a horse? So if they need longer, you just go do longer stints. Would that be the same as if you were building up to a race day as well? Or do you have to kind of like pace them to...
Well, a lot of it, so 2-year-old wise at the moment, so this lad with Twighlight Son, he goes up the Fisher's Hill because he's quite on his forehand. Right. It's quite a steep hill to start with anyway, and then it's a steady climb, so it just gets him off his forehand a bit, uses his back end a bit, and just takes the weight off his knees.
Yeah.
Whereas the short is quite flat and even runs downhill a little bit in places. So they can just get very on their forehand too much, and he had a little bit of knee pain not that long ago. Which he's over now, so thank God. But it just gets them back off their front end a bit.
Obviously, every horse is different. How you'd match them to what training program they need, essentially. And I suppose different muscles you have to work as well. Yeah,
I mean, again, most trainers who don't train in a training centre have one gallop and everything goes at that, and that's that. So here, I mean, it's a blessing and a curse. Having so many gallops is great. Facilities are fantastic, but you can overcomplicate it a lot.
And end up sending one horse one place and it'd be
exactly, and end up with horses all over the place, or don't get into a routine. And you also see lots of other trainers around, and everyone does different things. And you think, oh, well, they're doing that with that, and that with that, and you think, well, I should be doing that.
And I suppose then imposter syndrome kicks in, and you think, is this the right thing that I'm doing?
Especially when you're kicking off, it's sort of you've got to sort of pick what's. Luckily, having worked for William Muir, I know the gallops quite well.
Right.
So I know what they all. Yeah, I know them, so that helps.
Yeah.
Whereas I can see people who come here for the first time and start training here, it's quite tricky to work out.
And it's quite intimidating as well when you've got big trainers around, and if you're starting off as well, and you think.
Well, especially as everyone is watching you when you start. Unfortunately, there's no two ways about it. Everyone is. You're talk of the town a little bit, so it's
exciting then.
It's exciting.
Are they coming up here then?
They are coming up here. That's them just getting on now. He's going to be at the back, I think.
It was fascinating listening in on all of the work riders' feedback. It just goes to show how important teamwork is in the training process and the crucial role that the work riders have. Now let's listen to Ed's work rider Hannah and hear her thoughts on the Twighlight Son Colt's first proper gallop.
Happy with him?
Yeah, very. He was really baby, like coming into the rails. Like I don't know if you saw him. He like suddenly went, ugh, what is that?
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, like he suddenly hit like the baby spot where I was like, oh, we're not really going anywhere. I was like, oh, a little bit like, oh, I thought there was more more in you there.
Yeah.
And then once he got through the rails, he did what Daisy did and just suddenly like got into his stride and was just like, yeah, I'll fuck it, alright, I'll go. And like he was straight as a die as well. Once he got like into himself, he was, and like pulling up, he felt like he could keep going like all day long. I just pulled up off her, but he was like.
He looked like he'd legged the niceies coming by us. So
I'd say like next time round, I think he'd like be really like, okay, now I know how to do it.
good.
But yeah, no, he's a beautiful mover. Yeah, he's cool. I like him a lot.
Good. Vote confidence.
It was then time to head back to Frenchman's house stables and find out from Ed what were the next plans for the Twighlight Son Colt. Plan for the moment then is that just to build him up, build his muscle, and then essentially get him race ready, I suppose.
Yeah, so he'll tell us sort of as he goes and when he's ready. But he's got a big back end to him. He's got a big engine. Just needs his front end to come up, fill out, and join up with the rest of him really. And that will happen in time. As I say, we will just sort of slowly step work up, and he'll tell us if he's not happy with it, in which case we'll have to back off him for a bit, let him grow up, and yeah, hopefully it'll all go to plan and we'll have a nice horse in our hands.
You've been to lots of places, worked in various places. What's one thing you say you've learnt from those yards that you will take on board in your new training venture?
One thing, that's difficult. Well, I think, as I say, Mark Johnston was the organisation and just the business side of it, I think was fascinating to learn, see up there, see how he works it. I think he could train 1,000 horses and it would still work the same way. And I think then Henry Candy, just the patience and just getting to know your horses as best as you possibly can as individuals and seeing how they fit into a routine. But I think patience is the old cliche, but it's there. It's a cliche for a reason. Yeah. Just let the horses come to themselves as much as you possibly can. And grow into their personality. Tell me about this fella who's been nibbling my fingers and playing with me. Who have we got here? Hopefully it's quite exciting. He's got a Royal Jet. I bought him from the Horse in Training sales off Andrew Balding. He has only run twice, 4-year-old gelding, only run twice so far. Once as back end 2-year-old, and then he won very nicely at Leicester on heavy ground about a week before the sales. To be honest, I didn't think I'd have a chance of buying him. I managed to get him for 22 grand, which, well, he's completely unexposed. He could be anything. He's only rated 73. I didn't think I'd have a chance of getting him. So he's going very nicely at the moment. Just started stepping him up and doing a bit of faster work. As you mentioned before, you've had a lot of experience in other places, taken a lot on board. It would be exciting that all the things that you've seen now, you can now put into your own training programme. What are the steps from when you get them into the yard all the way to the gallops to the track? Well, that's all a little bit of a moving feast at the moment. I mean, it's just sort of trying to work out what's worked for myself with these gallops. I mean, these guys came from the sales, so there's another horse, Noodle Mission, next door. I bought them both at the Horse in Training sales. They had a small break for about a month, and then just brought them back in, trotted them for a few weeks, and they started cantering around Christmas time, and they've just been cantering away until now, really. I mean, it's been tricky not having a licence because I haven't really had a target to aim for or anything, so now we're that bit closer. Obviously finished my trainers modules last week, so now we're a bit closer. I can sort of start looking for races, and we've now got a bit more of a target in mind. But it's up to now has just been a bit of getting the base fitness in there and just sort of keeping them happy until we're ready to start stepping them up, which we're now doing, obviously. So. And in terms of facilities, obviously we're in Lambourn, plenty of gallops. We went to one this morning. You've got a horse walker as well. Do you do any schooling, like regular riding schooling or anything like that? Do you have any plans to do anything like that? Certainly something I'm contemplating. I think it'd be very useful for them. I've got a girl who's actually an international event rider who comes and rides out for me. So I think there might be a bit of that moving forwards. At the moment, they just go out and do their cantering and their fitness work. When they get that bit, they're ready to go. We might start doing some dressage schooling, I suppose. But no, the facilities around here are second to none. I mean, really, they are fantastic. We've got miles of all-weather gallops, grass gallops, stalls, you name it. There's sort of pretty much whatever. Even other trainers have swimming pools that we're allowed to go and use, and all sorts. So it's a great place to be. It's a lovely yard here. We've got our walker, we've got a bit of turnout.
Should we have a little look around?
Have a little look around.
And see what
Do
we've
a
got.
360 with that.
But I love it, it's so nice here. So you've got, as you mentioned, so there's all the stables all around.
Yeah, so we've got the stables are here in a courtyard. You have to forgive the grass for this time of year. It's all, I mean, from a practical perspective, nice and easy. Muck keeps straight out the back. Outside we've got the hay and bedding barn, and the walker is just there. So from a staffing and practical perspective, it's incredibly easy. Works very nicely. But the horses all seem, as you've mentioned, very happy.
Yeah.
They can all see each other. They've all got companion windows, which is, I think it's brilliant. They like to lie down. Most of them spend most of their time looking through the windows at each other.
Because they are herd animals, so it's important, isn't it, to
Yeah, it's
keep
very
them
important.
together.
Exactly, and they all like to be able to see each other. I mean, you see, unfortunately, that filly over there is slightly on her own, but she spends her whole time with her head out the door looking for everybody else.
And she's got music.
She's got music. She dances to every now and again.
Does she?
Yeah.
But some people do that, don't they? They have radios on for the horses.
Yeah. Yeah, people do. I mean, it is good to have a bit of noise in the background sometimes. I like it quiet when we're not here, so they can all really chill out. But it's good.
Feed-wise, obviously you have to pump good fuel into the engines. What do you feed your horses?
Come and have a look. So we feed red mills. It's tidy.
Lovely and tidy.
So at the moment they're all on this Horse Care Ultra, which is doing them all very nicely at the moment. Highly recommended to me by various people. So they basically get between 3 and 4 scoops of that a day, plus some Alpha A in all 3 meals. I like to try and keep it as simple as possible. Too many additives and supplements, I think, complicate life, and I'm not sure they make us feel better than the horses.
And the alfalfa, that's for, obviously it encourages chew, doesn't it? But it kind of bulks up the feed, doesn't it? And it's got, because I use that, that Alpha 8, it's got great oils in it.
It's just good roughage and forage that they need to help keep their guts working, basically. Obviously they get plenty of hay, they're nearly ad lib hay almost, if we can do that for them. Because it's very important for their stomachs. I mean, they graze, they're trickle feeders. We give them 3 feeds if I could. We'd feed them 5 or 6 times a day if it would work. So it's important for them to constantly have that trickle feed. But yeah, the Alpha 8 slows them down and just works, helps the guts work.
Keep the ulcers away.
Keeps the ulcers away, which is obviously
important.
a big problem in this game. But yeah, no, this feed is very good. We might think about introducing some racehorse cubes. Now they're doing a bit more, a bit closer to the races. But this, Red Mill's done well with this.
Nice. Like anything in life, there are always bumps along the road. So I ask Ed some of the tougher questions. Some people thrown in the towel essentially and not training anymore. Do you think of things like that? Are you quite realistic, or do you think it's best to stay positive and see what happens? Take each day as it comes?
I think it's a bit of that. I'm quite an optimistic person, probably too optimistic at times. And I mean, it's something I've got to give it a go. I've been working in the game for a long time. I've always wanted to train. Got to give it a shot. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work, but we'll give it our best go. And yeah, we've got to be realistic. It is a tough world out there. The racing game is probably not in the rudest of health, and it's a hard game to make a living in, but it's great fun. We work with these amazing animals every day, and yeah, I love it. So.
Well, being in the game a long time, you've seen a lot of stuff. I'm sure you have lots of things that you'd like to change for the good in racing. If you could say one of those things, what would that be?
Hard to pinpoint one, to be honest, isn't it? I mean, obviously, the prize money issue is a big one, but I think from a slightly holistic thing, it would be quite nice for everyone just to pull the same direction, probably for the good of the sport in the long term. Not to single out race horses, but it's a definite feeling that their more short-term view isn't probably for the long-term good of the thoroughbred and racing as a whole. Be interesting to see the boost, that if the levy gets a decent boost from the premierisation, Sunday racing, wouldn't be a big fan of it, but if it's a significant boost to the coffers, then it's got to be something we've got to look at. But yeah, I think primarily it'd be nice if everyone just got together and pulled the same direction for the good of the sport, really.
Well, that's a wrap at my time at Frenchman House Stables. It's been an incredible experience observing a training yard at the outset of their journey. Oh, and let's not forget meeting Django, who couldn't resist a quick cuddle. With a friendly atmosphere and promising young happy horses, I look forward to seeing the undoubtedly positive future that lies ahead for this terrific yard.